Hello everyone, you're very welcome back to another video. My name is Amy, I'm a musician, I play guitar and I sing and I make videos that consist mostly of cover songs, guitar content, vlogs. I also just enjoy talking about music related things and also Irish things to do with Ireland, that kind of thing. So you're very welcome back. Thank you for clicking on this video. As you can see, I'm not in my usual setup. I am somewhere else. I am currently back in Ireland. I'm here for a couple of weeks visiting my family and I have decided to film a little Q&A. I did a post a few days ago just kind of asking for questions since it's been a while since I've done a Q&A video. I think I haven't done one of these since like 2023, I think. I can't remember. I don't think I've done one since then. I feel like I answer questions a lot because I answer questions on my live streams and stuff, so I feel like I have done a Q&A, but I actually don't think I've done an actual Q&A video in a couple of years since then. We're coming up on a couple of years. So I'm going to be answering questions today. I'm going to be honest, I fully planned to film this video outside. I really wanted to film this where my grandparents used to live, down in that house and that whole surrounding area. If you've been watching my videos for the last couple of years, you will have probably seen me film quite a few videos down there in the countryside. I refer to it as down there. I love filming videos down there because it's so scenic and beautiful, peaceful and quiet as well. I've filmed quite a few things down there, a couple of cover songs and vlogged quite a bit. Today's my day to film this video. If I don't film it today, I'm not sure I'll get another chance while I'm here. And unfortunately, it is pouring rain this morning, which sucks. So we're gonna have to do it. This is my plan B. Is to film in this cute little cozy corner I have set up here. And so I have a little mug of tea as well, a little cup of tea actually. I think it's strawberry and something or other. So anyways, it's very nice. So cheers. Thank you for being here. Thank you for clicking on this video. Please do drop a like before we get started. It would mean the world to me if you could just like the video and leave me a comment and also subscribe. That would be great. Thank you so much. So thank you to anyone who dropped a question in the comments, whether it was here on YouTube or over on Facebook or Instagram. I got a whole bunch of lovely questions, so thank you so much for that. So the first question is from YB958. How's the weather? Well, I was hoping to be able to answer this out in the countryside and say, see for yourself. Weather is not great at the moment. It's been quite miserable weather-wise since I've been here. There's been pockets of good days or good parts of the days. It's kind of normal for this time of year. I do find that when I come to visit home, like if I come in the winter months, I'm just not as lucky with the weather. Whereas if I come a little bit later in the year or during the summer, then I'm able to film much more outside because it's just, you know, it's regardless of whether it's sunny or not, at least it's dry. That's the main thing. Ireland is quite a wet country, so it rains a lot and it's raining now. So that's why we're here. And that's the answer to the weather question. Next question is from 8 Random Pretty Secret 8. Which is your favorite song that you've gotten to perform so far and what inspired you to sing on YouTube? Love this question. Thank you so much. My favorite song that I've gotten to perform so far, that's a really tough question because I have so many songs and my list is ever growing. I feel like I've grown quite a list of songs that I do, which is great and long may that continue. But to pick a favorite one is really tricky. Honestly, I love playing Murder on the Dance Floor. It was one of my favorite covers that I've ever done. I'm really proud of that video. So I would have to say Murder on the Dance Floor is up there on that list. I also really love Sunday Morning, but I did a much more stripped back version of that song. So it's not like the Maroon 5 original, which I do love. But I just wanted to try something different and I did a much more laid back, almost jazzy version of Sunday Morning, and that is one of my favorite things to sing and to play. It's very simple, just 3 chords throughout the whole thing, but I don't know, I think people like it. I like doing it. It's kind of like calming. I feel like it's a song where I can really like show my voice, if that is not weird to say. So I love Sunday Morning, I love Murder on the Dance Floor, and there's probably like 5 others that I'm not thinking of right now, but there's so many songs that I love to play, And also I go through phases too. Like there's certain times where I just really love doing a particular song, and then that phase will pass and I'll move on to something else. So that happens all the time too. What inspired me to sing on YouTube? I mean, I had always watched YouTube probably since like 2014, 2015 religiously. And I had been posting my guitar covers on YouTube. Like I think I started the end of 2015, that kind of thing, or maybe the beginning of 2015, I can't remember. And I had never sang back then. It was just instrumental guitar stuff. I'd always wanted to, I just never really had the courage to do it. And then after I moved to the States, I think I was just, in a new place and just felt a bit fearless that particular day. I don't really know what happened. I just was like, hey, I'm going to try singing, recording myself, see how it sounds. And so I did that. I just tried it by myself. I didn't really intend to post it. It was more just, I want to see what this sounds like. What does my voice sound like? And it was very scary, but I recorded myself singing and I posted it on YouTube. And I don't think anybody was expecting me to do that because I was always just the girl who didn't sing. And then one day, randomly, I just posted a singing cover on YouTube and here we are. I need a sip. Besides County Mayo, which is your favourite county and why? I love that besides County Mayo because obviously I'm going to be biased and say County Mayo. Why wouldn't I? So I'm going to be honest, I am a sucker for the west of Ireland. I know that's biased. I don't care. If it's not Mayo, I'm going to have to say Galway. Galway is such a great county. It's such a great city. It's very artsy. There's lots of music and culture. It's very scenic when you go out, into the Connemara Mountains and like, I don't think you can beat it, honestly. And it's obviously like very similar to Mayo, just I think it has the city element to it. There isn't really a, city like that in County Mayo. There's towns and bigger towns, but not one that would be considered a city by Irish standards. So I would have to say Galway. If I had to pick another county other than Mayo, I'm going to go with Galway. Also, I should mention that I've not been to every Irish county, so there's that too. There are lots of counties that I would love to see. I've not really seen a lot of the north in person. I've been to Belfast for one day. That's kind of it. I've never really explored the north, so I would love to go to Donegal, which I know sounds pitiful because Donegal is not that far away. I would love to go to Donegal because it's stunning up there. I would love to see the Giant's Causeway up in Antrim. I would also love to see Wicklow. I have been to Wicklow, but I've not it's kind of more of a pass-through type thing. Or I've been just below the Dublin border. But Wicklow is beautiful county. It's much drier over there. It doesn't quite, because it's on the east side of Ireland, it doesn't quite get battered by the Atlantic like we do over here. So Wicklow has beautiful places like Glendalough, and there's lots of, gardens and things. Actually, Wicklow is known as the Garden of Ireland. So I need to go to Wicklow at some point. That question was from Yorick Burnison, by the way. I forgot to say apologies. That was thank you, Yorick, for that question. I forgot to say her name when I read the question. And Yorick is a member, so thank you for being a YouTube member. Next question is from Randy McClurg. Where is your favourite spot to visit in Ireland? Oh, this is a hard pick because, I mean, there's so many, first of all. Also, Ireland as a whole, it's kind of like saying, where's your favourite spot to go in New York? Or where's your favourite spot in LA? And you're like, well, there's a lot of options there. I suppose I'd probably just have to go with what I know in this kind of west part of Ireland. Any place where I have a lot of memories, honestly. I like to revisit places just to come back to, grounding and just reminding me of where I came from and just bringing back those memories. And I find that a very nice thing to do that kind of helps me. So one of those places I have to say is the countryside around where my grandparents lived. I never say specifically where it is because just for safety reasons, but it is in County Mayo. And the other place that I love to go, that's one of my favourite spots, is Enniscrone Beach, which I've talked about at length before in previous videos, and I've vlogged there quite a bit because I do tend to go to Enniscrone every trip just because it's such a great beach. It's always beautiful there, and that was like our beach that we went to when I was growing up. So I have a lot of memories in Enniscrone, a lot of happy memories, a lot of, been there with a lot of people that are no longer around. So it's nice to just be there and soak it in. And it's a stunning place. So definitely Enniscrone Beach. Next question is from Jacqueline Mantle. What's your go-to entertainment while traveling? I love this question. I don't think anyone's ever asked me this before. I like to bring options, especially on a long haul flight, 9-10 hours, which is typically the time it takes to fly to and from Ireland, about, roughly 9 to 10 hours. Sometimes it's 11 if you're unlucky, but usually 10 and a half. Although I was lucky this time, it took 9 and a half. So so I like to have options. I'm typically not someone who will bring like one book or one TV show downloaded. If I have an intention, like before I leave, I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna watch, I'll download this season of this Netflix show and I'll watch that while I'm on the plane. I might do that if it's something I feel like watching at home and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll watch that on the plane. If that happens, that's great. But I find that sometimes when I'm on the plane, my mindset shifts a little bit, or I just don't feel like watching that thing. So I try not to like commit myself to one thing, because then I'm like, well, what if I don't feel like doing that thing when I get on the plane? That happens to me all the time. So I tend to not just pick one or two things. Netflix is great for me because I can download, obviously. So I've downloaded a few episodes of things I've been watching, and I'll do like a few different things just to see what I feel like whether it's a, like a scripted show that I'm watching, like the episodes, or maybe something a little bit more gentle that I've seen before, like something like Derry Girls that I'll just kind of put on like I would do at home. Like you just, you put on Friends in the background or something you've seen a million times that you don't really have to pay attention to, but it's just nice to have the comfort of it. So it just depends. Like I might feel like something like that, where it's like something I can kind of doze while it's on, or rather than something new, because I don't always feel like watching something new, especially if it's something that I've been meaning to watch and I just haven't got time to do it, and I could like download. Perfect example, I've been wanting to watch the documentary about Norman's Rare Guitars that's on Netflix. I just haven't had a chance to watch it yet, and it's been on Netflix for like a month now and I still haven't got to it. That's the type of thing where I'd be like, I can watch that on the plane, but then I'll get to the plane and I do not feel like watching something new. So Netflix is great for me. I also have a Switch, so that's great because that's like endless hours of whatever. I can play Mario Kart, I can play Pokemon, I can play Animal Crossing, I can play whatever else is on there. The old Tetris for the Game Boy Color. Sometimes I feel like playing that. So it just, yeah, whatever tickles my fancy, honestly. I do like to listen to music, especially when we're taking off and landing. If I'm lucky enough to get a window seat, or if I can pre-book it, even better. I do really like to just listen to music while looking at the scenery from up high. Podcasts are great. I love podcasts because podcasts help me sleep. So I will doze off much quicker to the sound of a voice versus music, because music I find kind of gets me excited and wakes me up. But if I want to more relax and chill, I will listen to a podcast. So I find podcasts are great for that, for me personally. Someone's voice, the sound of somebody's voice will just lull me to sleep. Also, this time I did bring my embroidery, which I wondered would be a problem getting on the plane with little needles and a little tiny pair of scissors, but no, it was fine. So, so yeah, I brought my embroidery this time and I've done little to none of it. Patrick Deal, 6813. Also a member, thank you so much, Patrick. Is it common for the name Patrick to be typically subjected for Paddy in Ireland asking for a friend? I assume you mean substituted, like people say Paddy instead of Patrick. Yes, Paddy is short for Patrick. You will find that people call Patrick Paddy if that is your name. Patrick is like obviously the English version of Porrick. So Porrick is the Irish for the name Patrick, and Porrick is spelled P-A-D-R-A-C-K. IG. That's where the shortening there comes from. It's the shortening of the PAD from Padraig rather than Patrick. So that's why it's Paddy with 2 Ds. It's shortened from the Irish version. You do a lot of time in the States see Patty with 2 T's, especially for like St. Paddy's Day, which is actually incorrect. I know I've talked about this before in my videos with Ashton when we did our Irish vs. America videos. Patty with T's is the female version of that. So Patty is actually short for Patricia, which you'll know if that's your name. So when you see Patty, St. Patty's Day, or people wish you a St. Patty's Day, it's actually not correct. In Ireland, St. Patrick's Day is referred to as Paddy's Day, not Patty's Day. So yeah, just if you ever see St. Patty's Day written on somewhere, it's not correct. Next question is from Edita. What do you miss the most when you are in the US? So I feel like this is kind of an obvious answer I'm going to give, but the thing I miss the most is people. I miss my family, I miss my parents, I miss my brother and my sister. They're like the main things that I miss. I know that's kind of a boring answer, but it's also, I feel like it's a given answer too. Don't get me wrong, I love living in LA. Like, it's just such a different experience for me, and I feel very lucky to live there, and I feel very lucky to, like, you know, have a life there and have a very happy life there. And I'm also really lucky that I get to come home quite a bit, which is great. 1 to 2 times a year is like so ideal. I know not a lot of people get that. So most of the time I like kind of being far away and being kind of, you know, out of my comfort zone and out of what I know, and you know, I certainly don't dislike that. But you know, there are also times quite regularly, like, I wish I could just like pop over in the afternoon for like a cup of tea with my mom and just like have a catch up and have a chat. Like, yes, you can do that over the phone, and we do that over the phone, but it's not quite the same as like being in person with somebody. So oftentimes when I see, you know, other people, like whether it's social media or not, or wherever, other people being like, oh, I'm just popping round to my mum's, or I'm just popping round to my sister's, or whatever, like, I get quite envious of that. Like, I kind of wish I had that option to just be able to pop around, because I'm very much like grown up in a culture of just popping around to see somebody, or calling in, as we call it. We'll just call in for a few minutes. Yeah, so I think that's what I miss the most, is like obviously people, and just that kind of having the option to just like, I feel like popping around to see my mom or whatever. That's probably what I miss. That's what I get envious of other people when they talk like that. It's just like having to plan trips and having to like stay for a week or 2 or more. That's obviously great too, but it's like just having that, we get all that condensed time together, and then back to normal, and then, you know, that's just the way we have to do it now, and that's fine. But yeah, sometimes I miss that. Next question is from Lisa Peters, who's also a member on YouTube. Thank you so much. Actually, Lisa's got 3 questions. Okay, we'll try and burn through these a little bit. What are some things not to do or say in Ireland when visiting? Okay, we'll start with this one. Okay, we need to talk about top of the morning. I know I've mentioned it before, so some of you are probably like, yeah, I know, I got it. Please stop saying that to Irish people. We don't say it. It's not a phrase that people say anymore. Just stop saying top of the morning. Don't come to Ireland and start saying top of the morning. It's just not, no. Don't do it. Even if people are nice to your face, I guarantee you, as soon as you walk away, they will be rolling their eyes. So just for your own sake, don't say it. I don't know. I can't think of anything else. What not to do or say in Ireland? Make sure you look both ways when you cross the road, because the cars come the opposite way. So be careful with that. Don't look to the right and then cross the road, or look to the left and then cross the road. You know what I mean. Maybe don't ask why we don't celebrate Independence Day. Maybe don't do that. Her second question was, what are some common misconceptions that foreigners have about Ireland? Maybe that all Irish people are alcoholics, or that all Irish people drink a lot. Maybe. I think, yes. I think a lot of people think that. Yes, there is a drinking culture in Ireland. However, not everybody partakes in that, and I'm a perfect example. Not that I don't dislike alcohol, I do. I like my fruity cocktails, let it be known. Pub culture would not be for me. I don't really like that. So, unless I'm going specifically to like meet a certain person or to meet a group of people, like if my family were all going to the pub to, be out together, that's great, but I wouldn't just go to the pub normally or regularly. I don't like that. And I think a lot of people are like me. And I think also it's generational too. I think my generation and younger there's actually, I mean, not with everybody, but there is a little bit less of a drinking culture. For some people, it's still a big thing. But for other people, I don't know. I think people are becoming more health conscious in general. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably a good misconception. Is that not all Irish people drink? Again, if you do, it's fine. But if you don't, it's fine. I don't think it should matter, really. Other common misconceptions about Ireland. I actually kind of made a video about this already a little bit. It wasn't necessarily common misconceptions, but I did make a video called 7 Things You Probably Didn't Know About Ireland. So I'll link that in the description if you want to check that out, if you haven't seen it already. Maybe that people think we're part of the UK. That's kind of surprising to me. If you ask people, is Ireland part of the UK? Some people go, yes. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit ignorant that other people don't know this. Ireland is not part of the UK. Part of Ireland is, the northern counties are, but the rest of Ireland is its own republic, it's its own country, nothing to do with the UK or the Crown or anything like that. Like where I'm from, which is County Mayo, we're in the Republic, which is our own country with our own government, and it's nothing to do with Britain or anything. So I think, that's quite shocking to me sometimes about how people don't realise that. So yes, Ireland is not part of the UK, just for anyone who missed that. Also, maybe that we have red hair. I feel like when people think of Irish people, that they have red hair. There's such a small part of the population that have red hair. I think most people have either my hair colour, blonde, fair hair, or brown hair. That's the most common. Very few redheads. I don't know, maybe that's not a misconception. Maybe I'm thinking that up. Maybe not. Drop a comment if you're not Irish. Did I debunk anything that you maybe thought? Is there anything that I'm not thinking of that you think of when you think of Irish people? What are some of the must-sees for visitors to Ireland that are off the beaten path / hidden treasures? I like this question a lot. Must see for visitors. I mean, again, I'm going to be biased with the West. I feel like everybody goes to Dublin, which is fine. I think if you've never been to Dublin, it is definitely worth a visit. You do get to see a lot. Dublin is a great city. I used to live there for a short amount of time, so I know Dublin to a certain extent. But I do think it's important to understand that, like, if you're just going to Dublin, there's so much that you're not seeing of the rest of the country. So I would definitely recommend, like, yes, Dublin is a must-see, absolutely, but it's not, definitely come out of Dublin if you can. Hidden treasures off the beaten path. I kind of feel like Mayo is off the beaten path in a weird way. Not many people come here unless they come specifically. It's kind of one of the counties that, I think because we're one of the furthest points from Dublin, that Mayo gets a little forgotten about sometimes in terms of, tourism and funding for things. So I would definitely say, like, come west. I can't even really think of anything specifically, but I will give a plug to my cousin, and she doesn't know I'm doing this. She hasn't asked me to do this, but I have a cousin who does, she does TikTok and Instagram, and I will link her handle below. Kindred Cursed is her Instagram and TikTok, and she does all of that kind of thing. When she travels, she's filmed other parts of the world too, but she actually posts great Irish content and places in Ireland to see. She'll post something that I didn't even know existed. Like, she posted these caves that were in Sligo, and I was like, wait, how have I gone my whole life and not known that was there? She's really good at that kind of stuff, so I would check out her Instagram if you want to find any, like, off the beaten path type of things, because there's so much. There's so much. Like, you wouldn't think. Next question is from Giver of Pixie Dust. What is your favorite Irish dish? I am gonna have to say that you can't beat a good Irish breakfast. I think that's gotta be my favorite. That's one thing I miss a lot as well. Not that you would have an Irish breakfast every day anyway. I feel like it's more of a kind of Sunday thing. You know, I wouldn't even have it a lot. There's just something about the Irish meat. I think we can all agree. Not that it's not good in the States, it's just different. But you can't beat the Irish sausages, you can't beat the Irish bacon. And it's got to be, you know, the fried egg, the tomato, the beans, the toast, the pudding if you like the pudding. I'm not particularly gone on the pudding. I know people really love the black and white pudding. I could be partial to a bit of white pudding, a little bit. I don't mind that, but I'm not a huge, like, I wouldn't really eat black pudding. It's not really for me, but I know it's part of the ensemble. So I would definitely say good Irish breakfast is up there on my list for, you know, Irish things to eat. I also really love a good stew. I've been making stew quite a lot in the last few months. It's just been where I'm at the moment. Like, I've been doing Irish dancing a lot and my classes kind of run late into the evening, so that's like a tricky time to cook dinner. So I have a slow cooker that I'll like make a stew in the morning and then it just let it do its thing all day, so that by the time I get back from my dance class, we have a lovely stew ready to eat. And, you know, the smell fills the house all day, so it's just amazing. I know like stew isn't particularly Irish. I think lots of countries have their own version of a stew. But I do think that like stew is also quite an Irish, like maybe an older type of recipe, a kind of like things in the pot, you know, like everything in the pot type of thing. I think what would be more considered Irish stew would be a lamb stew, and I'm not a fan of lamb. I do not like lamb. I prefer personally a beef stew. So I love a good beef stew. I just love the tender small pieces of meat, the potatoes, the carrots, the peas, the onions, all together in like a gravy sauce that's been slow cooking for, you know, 6 to 8 hours. And then if you can pour that over some soft mashed potatoes, leave a like if you're now hungry. Next question is from Margaret Wagner. What is one food that you always have to have when you go home? Is it something your mum makes or at a particular restaurant? Oh, we're getting into the food now. I love it. Oh gosh, there's so much food that I do miss. I'm trying to think of like what's on my list. Actually, it's funny for this trip in particular. So a few days before I was flying, I just got this craving for beans on toast. And I know that's really dumb, or maybe it's not, I don't know. But like beans on toast is just not a thing in the States. And obviously if you're Irish or even English, you will understand beans on toast. And I just like about 3 days before I flew on this trip to come here, I texted my mum and I was like, is there any chance I could have beans on toast as my, you know, when I arrive home? And she was like, yeah, are you sure that's all? I was like, yes, that's what I really want. So, and I knew I was getting into my town in the evening, so it was going to be the perfect time to eat. And I just really wanted some beans on toast with, you know, Heinz baked beans on a slice of Brennan's buttered bread. And how I like to do it, which is how my mom does it and how my grandma liked it too, is you put some grated cheese on it and some pepper. You're welcome. That was what I specifically asked for this time. I also really miss my mom's Christmas dinner. My mom makes the best Christmas dinner in the whole world. Do not argue with me. Your mom's is not as good. No, I'm just kidding. I feel like everybody loves their own mother's Christmas dinner, and so I always miss my mum's Christmas dinner. I feel like it's just not the same when I don't have it. You know, I didn't get home for Christmas this year, or, you know, 2024. My mum actually did make a Christmas dinner and it was perfect. A particular restaurant, so I gotta have Blue Thunder. It's gotta be done. We had it a couple nights ago, So I tick that box. But Blue Thunder it's basically fast food. The one that I go to is Claremorris Blue Thunder, but I think there's one in Westport and there's a couple others as well. I can't remember where. There's probably like 4 or 5 locations, I think. It's Ireland's answer, the west of Ireland's answer to In-N-Out. Gotta have a Blue Thunder. And also the Old Arch Bar in Claremorris, one of my favourite places to go. They have a Parmesan crusted chicken that is to die for, and I love that dish. And when Ashton came with me last time, he loved that dish. So we still talk about the Parmesan crusted chicken in the Old Arch Bar in Claremorris. Would highly recommend. Next question is from Naneeks. I feel like I'm saying that wrong. I'm really sorry. I think it's Naneeks. All-time favorite band or artist? This is such a hard question. I find this so hard to answer because I relate to so much music that it's really hard for me to pick like one favorite. Like I could never pick a favorite song. It's even really hard to It's even really hard to pick a favorite band or artist. I would have to say, like, in a general inspiration sense, Bryan Adams, I have to say, is up there on the list because he's like the reason I picked up the guitar. So I do owe his music a lot, and his music means a lot to me. Also John Mayer. I love John Mayer, and his music means a lot to me too, and I've just learned a lot through his music. I like John Mayer a lot because his songs are, not all of them, but they are more on the pop side, but just very guitar based. And I feel like we're kind of missing that a lot the last few years. There's not been enough guitar in popular music. And so I feel like John Mayer really inspires a lot of people to pick up the guitar, especially my generation and younger. So I think John is great. John, first name basis. Although, funnily enough, my favorite songs of John Mayer are like not the popular ones. Like one of my favorite songs is honestly anything on the Born and Raised album. I don't know, I really like Wild Blue and Till the Right One Comes, and If I Ever Get Around to Living, Wildfire. Like, yeah, I don't know. I tend to kind of skip over like The Daughters and the Your Body is a Wonderland. Like I tend to like the ones that are a little less popular. I don't know, that's just me. I also really love Tommy Emmanuel. Like I've learned a lot from him. I've had the pleasure of meeting him a couple times at his guitar camps. Yeah, he's definitely like up there on the list of aspiration. Not even guitar player, but just human being as well. Like he's just always been, from what I've seen, he's always been just really kind and really normal. And I've met him a couple times and he's treated me like he's known me my whole life, which is really sweet, I think. Like it's like he could be my uncle or something. So I like that a lot. And not only that, he's like phenomenal guitar player that very few people achieve that level of skill. So obviously it's great to just always have something to be striving for, like no matter how good you think you are or how you've conquered something particularly challenging, but it's like, well, I still can't play like Tommy, so we still got to keep going. So yeah, I'd probably say, yeah, Bryan Adams, John Mayer, Tommy Emmanuel. In terms of bands, I can't think of anything specifically. I feel like I'd have to say the Beatles because you can't really deny their influence. I don't know, gosh, there's just so many bands, like so many bands and so many artists. I could literally list like 20 more, so I don't even know how to answer that. It's just hard. Again, it's just, there's just so much music I relate to, so it's really hard to just pick one thing and be like, yes, this is my favorite. So apologies if that's kind of a non-answer, but I really don't know any other way to answer that question. Next question is from Zebra Cubes. Favorite Taylor Swift era? Oh, love this question. My favorite Taylor Swift era is Folklore. Folklore is the reason I jumped on the Swiftie wagon. I never didn't like Taylor. I don't think I really appreciated her as an artist until I heard Folklore. It's not that I didn't dislike her. I just didn't relate to a lot of the music. There was a few songs I liked. I remember when she was first getting really big, I liked like a couple of songs here and there. Like I liked Love Story, and I liked Teardrops on My Guitar, and I liked Hey Stephen, and there was a few kind of like cherry picked a few songs that I was like, yeah, I like that. Wasn't really a fan of a lot of the pop hits. Again, that's not like a criticism or anything. It's just my personal taste in music. It just wasn't quite Like, I didn't really like Shake It Off. I didn't, you know, it's not that it was a bad song. It just, I was like, there's not enough guitars in it for me. Then Folklore came out in 2020, and there was, I don't know what drew me to it, because I wasn't somebody who was really following her career, and I wasn't somebody that was like waiting for her next album. Like, I wasn't like, you know, when Reputation came out, like I wasn't really paying attention to any of that. I didn't really know anything about what was going on with her at the time, and then Folklore came out, and there was just something about it that I was like, I think maybe, actually I don't even know, because she didn't do any promo for Folklore, she just dropped it during the pandemic. So there was just something about, like, maybe like the trees on the album cover, and again, I know you're not supposed to judge things by their cover, but there was just something about like, oh, this kind of, I don't know, I feel like this, it just drew me for some reason. I enjoyed the kind of nature, storytelling, picture painting vibe of Folklore. And when I heard the album, I started listening to the tracks, I was going, oh my God, I love this. This is so me. I think it's because the songs to me felt a bit more, I think I could just relate to them more. They had more of an indie vibe, which I just like. I could hear more instruments, I think. Like, it sounded like a band was playing this, you know, like there was drums and bass and guitar and piano, and the lyrics were telling a story, and I just was pulled in by the story. And so it just was more my speed. So it was when I heard Folklore that I went, oh, I'm a Swiftie. And that's kind of what got me there. So yeah, I love Folklore, and I've kind of been following her a little more closely since. Like, I've enjoyed Midnights, I've enjoyed Evermore, of course, and I've enjoyed Tortured Poets. Like, again, like, not everything is for me, but there are certain tracks that I really like. And of course, with the Eras tour, like, I love like the, you know, the nature, the flowy dresses, the acoustic guitar. I love it. Salt air and the rust on your door. I feel like if you are a Swiftie, you'll probably be like, yeah, that fits Amy's vibe, definitely. Folklore, like, it makes sense. I feel like objectively I can be like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, next question is from Niall Powell, who is also a member. Thank you, Niall, for being a member on YouTube. Apart from family, what's the one thing you miss about Ireland that you can't get in LA? I mean, I've kind of answered this kind of thing already. I will say beans on toast. There's also something in the air tonight. Oh, Lord. Not that you can't get fresh air in LA. I know it's kind of depending on where, it's a little harder to come by, but there's just something about the air in Ireland. Like, there's I don't know, is a freshness, maybe, is what I would describe it as. It's like the air tastes different or something. I don't know if that makes sense. I think it does. When I breathe in the Irish air again, I'm like, oh yeah, this tastes good. And again, it's not that I don't get that in LA, because like I take my dog to the beach, and like that's really fresh air, so that's great. I don't know, maybe it's just the slightly different climate. It's just a little bit colder, a little bit more mild. There's just a freshness in the air. I don't know how else to describe it. A freshness in the air that tastes a bit different that I can't get that in LA. I just can't. It's like I can only get it when I come here, and it's not maybe something I can't even fully describe. It's just how I feel. I don't know. Just brings me back. Kim B is next, and she actually left quite a few questions, so thank you, Kim. First one is, what's your dad's favorite song to play or perform? That's, I mean, might have to ask him, honestly. My dad's very similar to me in that he likes a lot of different things. So we're similar, where it might not be specifically one artist or band, but if we like what we hear, then, you know, I just think we're very similar that way. I would say that my dad he loves anything I love, really, or I love anything he loves, usually. My dad, I know, is a big fan of The Police. He loves Sting. And I know when he was learning drums when he was younger, I think, I hate to speak for him, my understanding of that is that he learned how to play a lot of drums by listening to The Police and drumming along with their records. So I think I have that right. So I'm editing this video. I completely blanked during this question. I don't know why, but I was talking to my dad literally after this, and we had this whole conversation of what his favorite song was, and I went, oh, wait, I didn't answer that properly in my video. So the real answer to this question is Sultans of Swing. Sultans of Swing is my dad's favorite song to listen to and to play. I hate that I didn't think of that in the moment when I was filming this, but anyways, there you go. Where do you go when you need a quiet minute? That's a good question, actually. I've never thought about, well, no, not that I've never thought about that, but I don't think anyone's ever asked me that. I just like being alone. I really like being outside. So I think if a room alone is not going to work, I think just getting outside, being outside, going for a walk, or just being in an area that is not too, stuffy, where there's a bit of space and a bit of air. I am very introverted at my core. I would consider myself an introvert. People drain me very quickly, even though I do love people and I love chatting with people, but I do find my social battery doesn't last very long, and it's not to do with other people, it's completely me. I think other introverted people will understand that, is that that recharge time for me is really important. If I am in situations where people are around me, like I need almost like a little temporary escape plan in my head of like, where can I go to just take that time? Whether it could be 5 minutes, it could be longer, it just depends. It's so hard to know. I think the more comfortable I am around people, the less I need to do that. Like if I'm here with my family, I don't really get drained that much. If I'm with Ashton, I don't get drained because we're actually both the same. So when we're just alone together, we both recharge. We call it like plugging in, like you charge your phone. Like we kind of plug. No, that sounds dirty. Wait, I can't say it like that. I was about to say we plug into each other. No, that's not what I meant. Okay, moving on. Some people drain me less, some people drain me more. And it tends to be the more comfortable I am with certain people. And it tends to be the more people, the more I drain. If I can get outside, I think that's a huge thing for me, is if I can just get outside, take a breath, then that helps me just come back, charge up, and then go back and talk to people again. I think it's getting a little bit darker now. I hope this isn't too grainy. Next question is from Big Bad Tom A, who's also a member. Thank you, Tom. Apart from family, what do you miss the most about Ireland? What do you feel you took for granted? Okay, I've already answered the first part of that question. I'm kind of thinking specifically, what do I feel I take for granted or took for granted when I lived here that I don't have anymore? You know what? What's popping into my head now is I've just been in Spain for a couple of days. So I was in Alicante just a few days ago, just hopped over for like 3 nights, two full days, but like 3 nights there. I never really appreciated how accessible other countries are when you live in Ireland or when you live in Europe. I know that's kind of probably obvious, but I think I kind of realize how lucky we are to have the option to do that. Now, I know in the US it's just different because it's very vast. The US country is a continent really, and you just have a lot of different climates that are all within your travel limit that's not international. So, whether you want the beach or the mountains or the desert or, the city, it kind of, it's all within the country. Whereas Ireland, we kind of just have the one climate because obviously we're a much smaller place than the US. Being able to like hop over to France, hop over to Spain. Like our flight was like 2.5 hours, and we were in Spain, and it didn't feel, like a particularly long trip, but just being able to hop over to Spain and have a couple of days in Spain and then come back again was really nice. So I kind of wish I did that more. Like I've never been to Paris, which sounds crazy to a lot of people, I think, because Paris, now I'm realizing how close I am to Paris, and I've never been in my whole life. I've also never been to Germany, which is nuts. I've never been to Scotland. Why? Now I'm like, why? Why have you not been to Scotland? It's literally next door. So I think I definitely took that for granted, is having access to a lot of different places. And I do wish I did that more. Like I've been to France, I've been to Spain, I've been to Portugal, I've been to Italy, I've been to England, but that's it. I kind of wish, exploring Europe more. Like I've heard great things about Budapest. I have never been to Paris. I've never been to Germany. Like I've never been to Norway, you know, like it's crazy. Oh, another thing that I think I took for granted is access to walks and nature and that kind of thing. And I talked about this in a previous video. I got absolutely slated in some of the comments because I said that Ireland doesn't have any predatory animals, which is technically true. Because what I meant by that was you can go for a walk and you're not worried about bumping into a bear or a bobcat or a snake or whatever. I just had a lot of people giving out to me saying that, what about insects? They're predatory because they eat other... And I'm just like, oh my God, you know what I meant. You know what I meant. Somebody goes, what about foxes? I'm like, do foxes eat you? Like, yes, okay, I could have been more clear. I meant to say predatory to humans. That's what I meant to say, but I still think it was obvious what I meant, and people just chose to nitpick that, so whatever. Yeah, I'm not apologizing for that one. It's just one of those things. There's just a certain kind of person on the internet that they'll just nitpick, even though anyone with any sort of imagination would be like, okay, well, I know what she meant to say, even if she slightly misphrased it. But to my defense, I did say, at the end of that segment, I did say there are no apex predators in Ireland other than humans. I did say that, but they all glossed over that, of course. It's so stupid. But anyways, going for walks here, having access to like lots of, I mean, not that these things are not in the US, of course they are. Maybe they're a little bit more few far between in LA, but like just, you know, things like being able to walk through fields and that kind of thing. Not running into anything that might eat you or hurt you. Like seriously, like a bear or a snake or a bobcat or a, what do you call them? Cougars or mountain lions or anything like that. Safety, maybe in that sense. Not that there's not dangerous things in Ireland, like you can come across bad people, of course, but you think very differently when you go for a walk in a forest in Ireland versus when you go for a walk in a forest in the US, if that makes sense, because in the US you might come across a bear or something like that. So that's what I meant. Definitely took that for granted, I think. Definitely. All right, we're on to the penultimate question. We're getting there. Michael Staunton asks, what's it like to know that you have this great connection made now when doing MX Sessions stream with everyone tuned in? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really, like when I go do my live streams or do my videos and like, you don't really think about what it's like on the other end for the viewer. I mean, I try to, just in terms of like making it a pleasant experience, but also it's hard to really compute that sometimes. You know, you do get very tunnel vision from this side and also on the other side too, I think. Sometimes it helps to think about that, and then sometimes it helps to shut that off too. It just depends on the situation, I think. But yeah, it is, you know, really cool. The internet is such a strange place, and especially when it comes to things like music or any type of art where you have to put yourself out there. It's quite bizarre to me that people who I don't even know, people I've never met, people from all around the world support me and like the things I make. That feels a bit weird sometimes because I have people who I actually know that don't do the same thing, which is fine. But it's such a weird, you know, when you think about it like that, like there's people that you have no idea who they are, they watch you on a screen, and they support you more than people who've known you your whole life. It's very weird when you think about it like that. Everybody's got their own stuff going on, but yeah, it's just weird. I like to remind myself of that it's, you know, it kind of helps me like keep me doing my best to make things a pleasant viewing experience for people. And then also sometimes I can't think about it too much because it stresses me out and it freaks me out and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta delete my whole channel because this is too much. Like, that definitely happens. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, yes, it's amazing and I love it. It makes me very happy. So yeah. Okay, and we're on to the last question, which is from Reshmeeb. Rashmeeb. It's actually 2 questions. Do you have a favorite spot in Ireland you think everyone should visit? I mean, again, I think I have kind of answered this, but I think everyone should visit? I mean, I very quickly, I already talked about this, but like, if you've never been to Dublin, go to Dublin. But, you know, definitely come down the west, come out of Dublin, come see more. Like, you got to see the Cliffs of Moher. You got to go to a castle, do some kind of castle tour so you can actually like walk through a castle that's been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years, who knows. I think the Wild Atlantic Way is definitely worth seeing in your life. It's just, I mean, I might be biased, but it is just one of the most stunning coastlines on the planet. The Wild Atlantic Way basically runs all down the west side of the country. It starts up in Donegal, comes all the way down through Sligo, through Mayo, through Galway, through Clare, right down to the tip of Kerry. Breathtaking scenery. And what is your favourite Irish saying or phrase? I have a couple, actually. A couple of them my grandma used to say, so they kind of make me laugh if I hear them or think of them. So one of the things, and I actually remember learning this in school, but my grandma used to say this all the time, and the saying is "Isma an tanlin an tuckris," which means hunger is the best sauce. Another saying, my grandma said this all the time, which is "Gomerimid bio eranam shah arish," which means basically, may we all be alive to see this time again, or may we all be alive to see this time next year. So it might be something you'd say at like a birthday or Christmas. Basically, you know, we hope everybody has good luck and health, and maybe we all be here again this time next year. It probably sounds morbid in some other ways. One of my favorite things about the Irish language that I've learned somewhat recently, because I have been kind of going back down that road, which I've talked a bit about in a few videos, that I am kind of relearning Irish again, because I would love to do a full video like this completely in Irish with English subtitles. I haven't figured out what that looks like yet, or what the topic would be or anything, but that is something I would like to accomplish. So something that I've realized and learned about the Irish language from relearning it is there's actually a lot of wisdom in the Irish language, and there's something about it being a very ancient language. When you describe, like in English, you say like, I am happy, I am sad, I am scared, or I am angry, whatever. When we describe our feelings, we say, I am this thing. This feeling is defining me, like I am sad. But when we say that, we're not saying that we are defined by the sadness, or we're defined by the happiness, or, you know, emotions pass through us and they are ever changing. We can be happy one minute and sad the next. So it's like when we say, I am happy, I am sad, it's not really how emotions work, because emotions, we're not defined by emotions because they are ever changing. When you say those things in Irish, like if you want to say, I am happy, you say, Tá áthas orm, which literally translates back to English as the happiness is on me, which I think is really interesting. Or if you say, Tá brón orm, the sadness is on me. It's not me, it's just on me right now. And I just think that's really interesting. I never picked up on that before, and I just thought, wow, there's actually a lot to think about there. And I really like that a lot. And it just kind of makes you think, oh gosh, Irish is kind of great. I know that we have a hard time with it, you know, due to history and stuff. And a lot of people have had a bad experience with Irish because it's not been taught properly to them. And so it's traumatic for a lot of people, but it's kind of unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. Maybe it's just where I'm at in my life, and my perspective has shifted since moving out of Ireland and kind of realizing how much about it is very special. That's one thing that I'm like, I love that. That's really great. It's not me. It's not in me. It's on me right now, but it won't always be. I don't know. Just something to think about. I think that's interesting. I might be wrong. I might be by myself here, but yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for all the questions. I really appreciate it. They were a great bunch of questions, so thank you so much again for taking the time to leave them. I think I actually got everything. I think that was all the questions that were asked. I was hoping I would get through them all, and yeah, this might be kind of a long video, but who knows. I'm here in Ireland for a few more days as I'm filming this, so I'm going to be continuing to vlog for the next few days, so keep an eye out for that video soon if it's not up already, but I will be posting a video of my, my time here. And I also have filmed a lot of my previous trips too, so do check those out. They're in a playlist as well, which I will link below if you'd like to watch some of my adventures here in Ireland throughout the last few years as I've come back to visit and just gotten up to different things. Don't forget to leave a like if you haven't already yet. Subscribe to me if you haven't already yet, if you do enjoy my videos, whether it's Irish stuff, music stuff, or whatever I decide to post. But I do post regularly, or at least I try to. And I also go live every week as well, and I play a bunch of covers and hang out with the chat and stuff. So yeah, please do subscribe and join as well if you have the means and want to. I have a membership and a Patreon as well, so everything is linked below in the description, so check it out if you would like to. Drop me a comment. Let me know if you have any thoughts about anything I talked about in today's video. And just thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you very soon in the next one. Bye. That's an awkward little wave. I knocked the microphone out of my hand.